Even though we live in a modern world, we still have ancient brains. So imagine your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, ancient caveman, cavewomen, walking through the jungle. Their entire world was dedicated to two things. Either approach the treats or avoid the threats. Approach the berries in the bush or avoid the snake in the grass. Now, even though that was the main point of motivation, the priority is avoiding the threats. Why? Because if we don't see the treats, the berry in the bush, we might live another day, but if we don't avoid the snake in the grass, we're gone and we don't have another day. So because of that reason and many other reasons, our brains are wired to look for and remember the negative more than the positive. That priority of survival is one of the major reasons why it is so hard to stay positive. Now, even though that might be the case, even though it's harder to stay positive than we initially think, it doesn't mean we give up entirely. It means we work harder. We treat happiness like hygiene. So this idea that our brains prioritize threats over treats has a name in psychology. It is something known as negativity bias. And the essential idea is bad is stronger than good. Doesn't mean better, but it means stronger. In other words, our brains are naturally going to look for what's wrong rather than what's right. But we can take it to another step and look at something called inattentional blindness. What you see in front of you is a sample scan of a lung that was given to a group of radiologists. Their goal was to identify which of these little white blobs are cancerous cells and which of them are just normal parts of the lung. Now, the radiologists were experts at identifying the cancerous cells, but a huge percentage of them, over 80%, did not notice photoshopped into that lung was a gorilla. I would hope my radiologist would notice a gorilla in my lungs, but the reality is no one asked them to look for a gorilla. This is something known as inattentional blindness. When we look for one thing, we are very good at identifying it. However, in the process, we don't notice other things. So if my brain is wired to look for the bad, I'm going to notice it, and in the process, I'm going to get worse at noticing the good. Now, one other key thing that we need to consider is that every time we recall a memory, every time we vent, every time we talk about it, every time we go home and process it, every recall changes that memory. More than just changing it, it can get tainted by whatever mood we're in. So think back to some of those stories you have told over and over and over again. Big idea, those are not factual, objective truths. They are our version of truth. So putting these pieces together, we can see why it's so hard to stay positive. That I naturally look for the bad and in the process notice it more and notice the good less. And when I vent and retell those negative stories over and over and over again, I strengthen them, I solidify them in my mind to make it easier to notice even more bad things. So if we want to counteract this and build good happiness hygiene, good positivity as a habit, we have to take active steps. One of the number one ways you can figure out your mindset and how easy or hard it is to stay positive is to take on the 24-hour no complaining challenge. The process is simple. See if you can go 24 hours without voicing a single complaint. You can still think it because you can't necessarily control that part of your brain, but don't verbalize it. Don't stew about it. Don't write about it. Now, the gist of this is that if you make a mistake and if you slip up and complain, simply start the clock over. See how long it takes you to go 24 hours without voicing a complaint. This is what I call a life audit. What you will notice pretty clearly and pretty quickly is that in certain contexts, certain days, it is really, really hard to stay positive. In fact, I know some teachers or students who have actually set reminders for themselves to remember to stay positive and not complain. Think about that fact. Never do we have to set a reminder to complain or a reminder to look at the negative. But our brains are so easily wired for that we have to work harder to try not to complain and look for the good. A second key strategy that could help us with our positive hygiene is to create a victory session. We are really good at vent sessions. We are really good at having those moments of processing. But what if we scheduled in a ritual for going over what went well? This could be a gratitude journal. This could be finding a trusted peer or colleague that we can just talk to. This could be making sure that every Friday I don't leave my building, I don't leave my job until I have a moment where I note something good. Again, this is how we start to build habits of looking for the good and creating positive memories to anchor rather than just unpleasant memories.